example, I lived with one BK sister. This was in the past, it's not recently. And when she came, she was so amazing, very pretty, very intelligent, and full of virtues, you know. And it was just so amazing because she was so much more than the others around. And at the same time, she would not create that feeling of competition or jealousy amongst the others, even though she was younger than them. And then I kept thinking, why this sister, so pretty, so intelligent, so capable, is not arising this feeling of jealousy in others who are older, who are more time here in the Brahma Kumaris than she is. And then clearly I recognized that it was her humility, because she was that naturally. She was not trying to prove anything. She was not trying to pretend anything. She was just very radiant and shining. So I think that this is a difference between self-respect and ego. But just making a compliment in terms of it's so important that we have this self-respect, because sometimes people think that spirituality means that you have to have a personality a little bit like a porridge, you know, like like not firm, not strong, not clear. And I think that this should be clear, that spirituality, self-respect, you know, like capacity, doesn't have anything to do with you diluting your personality amongst the group. In fact, in my vision, let us say, I conclude that people who want to please others never can get their self-respect right. You know, we are here not to get the love from others. I mean, love should come as a result, and it should not be our aim. And people who are, you know, living with this, I feel that it's maybe a trauma from the past, or a situation from the past that created this need to please others, to harmonize with others, to get their love, would never really have self-respect. Because sometimes when you are in your self-respect, not everyone likes, you know, you have to be clear. And I mean, I'm not saying that you have to leave your manners, I'm not saying that, but you know, like we should be what we should be, and not just try to accept or to decide just with these limitations about pleasing others.
That's really interesting. Um, yeah. What's the antidote then for not pleasing others? How do you readdress that so that you can be centered?
I think that in one sense, I think that first is to please yourself. I mean, if you are really confident that that's the right thing, that's the values that you are pursuing, and also if you feel that you are pleasing God, that God is happy with you because of the way that you have been living your life, using your timetable, using your resources, and you know the work that you are doing is something like favorable to the humanity, favorable to make this world a better place. I think that if you are pleasing yourself and God, that's more important, and probably others will also be pleased. But also there will be always some two or three who are not pleased with anything. So, you know. Maybe they're not pleased today, maybe they are going to be pleased tomorrow. So I think that the antidote is more like to, I think that to be self-centered in the sense, not individualistic, but in the sense of really knowing your purpose in life, your aim in life, and also considering the differences, because like I'm not like you, I'm not like anyone. So sometimes something that is very important to you, it's not so important to me, you know. Um, so I think that clarity is something so important, so important. No clarity about what are you doing in your life, what do you want for your life, um, what do you expect from the relationship with other people. I think that
Mhm.
this clarity is quite important.
That's interesting. And what's the first step towards that clarity?
Clarity, it's something connected with the inner purity of the soul, inner purity of your intentions, inner purity of that you are being like sincere in the sense of not speaking up everything, but sincere in the sense that you are being real to the truth that it's inside of you. It's just like, for instance, a young boy or a young girl who is about to go to the university, and they have a name, they have an aspiration, and then to please their father or their mother, they change their career. They will never be happy, you know. So
Mm.
I think that the first thing is to be truth to yourself and stand up for that. Sometimes you have to say no. I saw in the inner space Facebook page that you just had a lecture on saying yes and saying no, or it was there anyway.
Yeah.
So, like sometimes for you to keep your integrity, I can say something that just happened last week. I've been so busy because, I stayed for 2 months in India recently, February and March.
Mm.
And then arriving here, we received the visit of Sister Shivani from Delhi, from India, who is a very big person in the Brahma Kumaris. So she stayed 1 week with us. And many programs were done. I had to travel with her in 4 cities. So I was very busy and my work had accumulated. So at one point, I was saying that I could not cope with everything, with the message and so on. And also some private things that I had. My mom, who is 92, that I have to take some care, and some other things. So I prepared a letter to the Brahma Kumaris community in Brazil,
Mhm.
some 500 students and so on. And I said, look, I'm just going to see my WhatsApp at 8:30 in the morning, at 12:30, at 5 o'clock, and just 7 o'clock, and then 4 times a day. So please wait for the answer, because I will just open it 4 times a day. And please just come to me the things that you cannot get from anyone else. If it's something to do with the national office, if something to do with the retreats and so on, please go to the other people. Sometimes you have to be clear,
Mm.
because if you just people, when they see that you answer, that you are polite, that then they come to you. So, and it has been so good. I
Good.
think that sometimes we have to be very clear.
Mhm. Uh-huh. And I have a feeling you might bring this up in the talk. So I'm going to put a pause because we should be starting now. There's about 120 of us online. So let's
Yeah.
welcome to the Inner Space Covent Garden talk. Our talk today is becoming mentally stronger. Is your mind calm and vibrant, or does it think too much or think negatively? The mind is where we think, feel, and generate our reactions. Just about everything evolves through our mind, revolves around our mind, and involves the use of our mind. So it makes sense to make our mind stronger, increase mental strength, boost clear thinking, make better decisions, deal with stress better, and approach challenges with confidence. That would be great, wouldn't it? So we've asked our speaker this evening to share her insights and understanding on how the mind works and how to become mentally stronger. Our speaker is Luciana Ferraz. Luciana, since 1979, has coordinated the Brahma Kumaris in Brazil. She travels around South America delivering seminars on self-improvement. And she is a social scientist. Luciana is going to be sharing with us for around 35, 40 minutes, and then she's going to take us through a guided meditation. The idea is to take some of the ideas and let them filter into the mind and the heart so you can start using them as tools. After that, if you have questions, please send in your questions via the question and answer link or the chat, and I will take those questions and put them to Luciana on your behalf. Luciana, thank you. Over to you.
So nice to be with the group of Inner Space once again. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be with you in Brazil, where I am now. Beautiful day, autumn day, full of light and very mild weather. In fact, it's quite important, this topic, because something that we already know about all the external situations, the problems in the world, the difficulties that all of us face with family, with health, with the systems, social systems collapsing, so more and more difficult if you need anything from the government. Also the climate change, that it's bringing catastrophes and making our lives more difficult, but especially the things that happen sudden in our lives, unexpected. So all these situations make us to conclude that we cannot change them. In reality, the tendency is that they would increase. We are going to have more of such situations. So the inner option is the only one that we have to work on ourselves, to make our minds strong, to make our minds more clear. So what does that exactly mean? It means, like it was said by Sister Artie, that mind is where the thoughts, the feelings, they arise. And from the thoughts and feelings, we have all kinds of results. Our emotions, the capacity of discernment, the capacity of taking decisions, the vision that we have towards the world and others, the attitude that we take in each situation, and our actions as a result of all of that. So if we have a mind that is overthinking, over worried, over heavy, of course, this capacity of taking care of the life and also responding to all the situations of the world, it's not going to happen in the best way. And one thing that has been happening with so many of us, together with this overthinking and over processing of the mind, is that we take a lot of the input in terms of vibrations, in terms of negativity, that it's coming from the world in our minds. It may be the environment that you are working with. Maybe it is even your own home where people are unsatisfied or are in conflict. So these vibrations is just like some negative food to our minds that somehow we have to control this diet of the mind. And because many times we are tired, many times we are being demanded so much, we become a bit slack with our thoughts. Instead of really observing, selecting, and allowing just good and positive thoughts to be processed by our minds, we just become like slack and allow anything to come into our minds. So I think that the first ability that we have to have is the ability of observation. Observe what is there, what is wanting to come into your mind, and observe that you are not going to allow anything that you know that will not help in making you strong, happier, lighter, and so on. One thing that we have to realize also is that we cannot change anything, but also we cannot change other people and other people's opinions. So many times we, because of this attitude of willing to be loved or to please others, we accept that their influence come to us. So influence is something that we have to be very careful, because it is the influence of watching news from the catastrophes of the world, influenced by what other people who are famous, who are VIPs, who are influencers, what they are saying that it's good and what is not good. Influences from not just the media, the social media, but even, for instance, from your colleagues, from what people that you admire, like, for instance, your boss. So how I'm going to please my boss. So be really attentive that other people and the situations don't influence you. Because if you allow that, it means that you are a slave. You are not the master anymore of your mind, which is what we want. In fact, the word Raja Yoga, which is the name of the yoga, the meditation process that we develop here in the Brahma Kumaris, Raja means king. It means that it's the capacity of becoming a sovereign over whatever is happening in your life, and even the sovereign of how your sense organs work. So my mind is completely dependent of how my eyes function, my ears function, my mouth function. So I really have to be aware, like a sovereign, of administrating my kingdom so that I can have really good results in terms of my mind being controlled, my mind being powerful, my mind being selective in whatever the mind is producing, and accepting, not to accept any junk thought to the mind. And another thing that we have to consider is that we have to have this capacity of resilience. Resilience is some new behavior that has been talked about a lot. And resilience comprehends courage, Resilience comprehends humility, flexibility, because resilience comprehends that you do not want to change the reality, but you want to influence positively the reality. And if you can change the reality with your inspiration, with your example, with your vibration, then that's wonderful. But to recognize that reality is reality. Sometimes we think that because the reality is not fair, or the reality is violent, or the reality is not according to the spiritual principles, so we react. And resilience tells us the opposite, tells that we have this inner power, this force internally, so that whatever comes, we can use that on our benefit. We can find a turnaround to make that the best for us. I can give you an example. With this climate change thing, Brazil is a country of many rain, a lot of rain. That's why we have the Amazon and the rainforest, because it rains a lot here. And there was one day in January or February, which is the period where it rains the most, that one of the BK sisters who is with me, she had to go to work. And she left and she went by public transport. And it was raining too much, and the traffic was absolutely horrendous. So she could curse the rain, she could curse the traffic, she could curse her destiny, that she had to work, that she would be much better without having to work. But what has she done instead? She came out of the bus and went to the work walking. It took her 1 hour to arrive at her job, but she did it. She made it. And at the end, because she's strong and she's still young, so she just took that as an opportunity for exercise, an opportunity for resolving the situation without creating that battle internally, that angry feeling, or bitter feeling, because the things outside are not the same. So this is resilience. Resilience, it doesn't mean that everything has to be the way you want, or the way that it would be more easier for you. But resilience, it means that how can you use your flexibility and your courage to face situations even when they are not easy. And that's why resilience, it is a capacity that we need more and more in the world that we are living in, because, it has to come from this preparation that we have inside. So we have to cook this inner food so that when the situation comes, I am ready to offer a cooked food, and not a food that it's still uncooked or hard or stale. You have to have this preparation, and this is quite important. Another example of resilience is, for instance, I have been living in a small farm for the past 12 years, and there's a lot of trees, many, many, many trees. And it's not unusual that because of the wind or because of the rain, one of the trees falls down and is in the middle of the way. And so I cannot pass. So, I always have to be aware that this can happen. So I always have to be ready to turn around and look for another passage. And so this is also the capacity in terms of relationships. Instead of you just being disappointed or just being hurt or just being sensitive because someone said something, even if the person has said some nasty words, but so it's there. Uh, how can I say? It's their um, responsibility to solve the karmic account. It means the action and reaction that they created. But I have still to be on my self respect. So the capacity of resilience is very, very important. The capacity of resilience also helps us never to quit, never to give up. Mistakes we all make. Sometimes we say some wrong words. Sometimes we take some wrong decisions. Sometimes, like you in one situation feel a little bit like slack. As soon as you realize, just start again, stand up. Do not become, do not enter that guilty feeling, because guilt is something that destroys our self respect. And when we make a mistake, the thing that we need the most is to value ourselves. We are not that mistake. That mistake just happened that one time, but we are not the wrong one. Maybe an action, maybe a word, maybe an expense that we did wrongly. But when we mistake ourselves with our role, with our actions, with our position, it's when something happens to our role and I feel guilty. So, since some years, I've been taking care very much uh, to not allow guilt to come to my life till the end, till I become perfect. One or another thing will happen. Someone will say something bad about me or any bad word to me. So, this gentle care with yourself, it's also an aspect of resilience. And like I said before, just consider that the reality is supreme. We cannot change reality. So if that happened, if the mistake has happened, just with your awareness, stand up and start again. Ask excuse if it's the situation, or sometimes even be clear. I I'm late today because I was not feeling so well, or I'm late today because I forgot our commitment. When we are honest, normally we can get the good acceptance or vibration from the other person. Now, something that I would like to share is how do we make this mind powerful? I already mentioned few things which are important, like observing our thoughts, taking care of the ingestion of thoughts and feelings that we have from the outside world, from the media, from the relationships. I also mentioned about the importance of keeping your self-respect and never allow yourself to go into an attitude of guilt. I also mentioned about valuing the reality and because of that, not try to control the reality, because you will not be able to make it, but try to control your sense organs. But I want to call the attention of few aspects, very practical, that for me has been helping me a lot. I am a quite practical person, and I am not a person who is adventurous. I do like some novelty, but not too many. I'm quite pleased with a life that I know it's a predicted life in terms of a routine, for instance. It's something that comes to my taste, let us say. Of course, not always this can happen, but I think that when we have a routine, a discipline, we can take a lot of benefit. This discipline, this routine doesn't mean that it doesn't require some flexibility, because situations happen and flexibility is needed. But from your timetable, the time that you wake up, the time that you prepare yourself for the day with your study, with your meditation, the time that you have your meals, like I can remember once some sister that used to live with me used to say, "Oh, now I'm not hungry. I will eat when I'm hungry." That doesn't seem nice, because, if we are a family, the family has to sit together, has to eat together. If the father, the mother, or one child says, "Oh, today I'm going to have lunch at 3 o'clock in the afternoon," it's not nice, because, it's a community. This life in community is very, very important. And in a community, we do have to have more or less the same timetable. Otherwise, we are never going to meet each other. We are never going to talk to each other, even in terms of a family. You have to have this. I remember, for instance, that I used to study in a nun school, and we used to stay the whole day in the school and just come back in the 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So my mother used to make the point that we all would dinner together, and weekends we would always have lunch together. So this is so important, because it's a sense of family, it's a sense of community, you know. So if you have a discipline and a routine, and you consider including others, thinking that you are not alone, it's not just your will, it's not just your taste, but you have to sacrifice for the benefit of the community. And sacrifice, it means to make it sacred. So to make it sacred, it means something valuable. So when you sacrifice your personal taste to bring this higher community feeling together, it's very important. This can be with friends, this can be in any aspect, because sacrificing your small things for a bigger um, aspect is something that can bring strength to your mind. Just It's just children that everything they want, they have to be satisfied. Children have a lot of desires, and they cannot have the ability to uh, understand the importance of sacrificing for later. I can give you an example. You have a chocolate, and you take this chocolate to the child and says, you have two options. One is to get this chocolate now at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. And the other option is to get two chocolates after lunch. If you wait till after lunch, much probably the child would say, I want the chocolate now. Because the child doesn't have this capacity of seeing the time, to seeing the benefit later. They want everything immediate. So it's very, very important, the aspect of routine and discipline. Discipline is more or less like the skeleton of a body, gives us a structure, or the structure of a building. It's so the foundation of a building gives us this strength. Another aspect that is quite important to give us this strength is, this practice of connecting with the divine power. In the morning, it's essential. In the evening, it's very important because it's just like cleaning your mind from the day, preparing yourself to sleep. So it's also very, very important. But more than that, it is a practice to help in your purification, because so many stains we accumulate during the day, going here and there, and so many influences, like I said before, moving here and there. So this divine shower, let's say, really prepares us to have a cleaner and more pure state of mind. So important. And also in terms of a relationship, because you need some example in terms of a relationship, like someone that can inspires you in terms of one quality, one virtue, like someone who is really sweet with you, someone that is really understandable with you, someone who is really a person that is quite humble and you can relate to that. Have this relationship very, very important for your strength. Because even if you develop your capacity is limited. So it requires some bigger, some higher source to be able to give you what you are not capable to have yourself. So many situations I had to face, difficult situations of problems, of loss. I lost my father recently, who is 97 years old. And, my family was really destroyed. And, not even a drop I showed, not because it's a problem to cry, not this, because I was just so understandable of the situation. And all of that, it's because my connection with this divine power. It's there that I can get my strength to face all these situations. From there, we have this pristine energy, this pure energy that we can really feel more enthusiastic, more capable, and do big plans, for instance. But there is a fourth and last aspect that I want to mention, and it's something that I have been practicing already since some time, but especially about last week, as I was sharing before, we had the visit of someone from the Brahma Kumaris in India. And she has been inspiring so much all of us to pay attention to this detox in terms of internet and gadgets and so on. And it was something that it was already in my attention and I was already doing it, but it took another level after this week that I stayed in her company. Like, for instance, On your cell phone, never allow the beeps, the, the sound to be beeping every time you get a message, because this creates anxiety. When you listen to a beep, maybe it's important. Maybe it's the answer that I'm waiting. Maybe someone that I like. So my phone, since long time, never has these beeps to distract my attention. Other thing also, put a limit. When you wake up, don't touch your phone the first thing in the morning. First, do your hygiene, then your spiritual hygiene, your meditation. Then later, after 1 hour or so, or even more, if you prefer, then you can open your phone. So, it's just like also creating this strength, this resistance to the attraction of the phone. Don't allow that small phone controls you. Same in the evening. Same in the evening. What time do you go to sleep? 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So 2 hours before that, you put your cell phone aside. If you are waiting for an important call, put your cell phone distant, like we used to have the fixed telephones. Do you remember that? The young ones probably they don't remember, but the older ones would remember. We had to run to the phone to answer it. So same thing, just put the phone far away so that you don't feel attracted to be scrolling it and looking at it and seeing it, because all of this is junk food. Maybe from 10 messages that you receive, maybe one is significant. So these are all important practices that creates a strong mind, a strong habits, a strength in your self-control. And when we speak about self-control, it's not controlling the understanding it as a hard thing. No, control is in the sense, like I said before, that you are the master, you are the sovereign, you are not the subject. Hmm? Other thing that I do since long time is that never to sleep with my cell phone near my bed. I have a old simple alarm clock that it's very useful, that doesn't transmit any vibration, any energy. Because why do you think that all this autism and deficit of attention in the children today? All of this is because of the energy that is circulating from this radar, from these towers, from the cell phone that people keep near their ears. So let's have this detox of these aspects, and we are going to feel so much more on control of ourselves. In the same way, it's not just the phone, but like when we are having our meals, let's sit, let's talk, let us share. Like, for instance, in Brazil, this talk started at 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the afternoon. So Sister Artie asked me to be online at 2:15. So I was chatting with the people that I was having lunch. And I told them I'm going to give a talk today on this subject. Which points do you suggest for me? So they started to share some points. So this is how we have to have our meals: chatting, thinking, sharing knowledge, sharing news about our day, sharing news about our work, sharing news about some inspiration that you are getting, some realization that you are getting. But should not be with our phone eating and our phone seeing messages and films or whatever. So this is something that we really have to be completely aware, especially the world news, for instance. I used to consume a lot of the world news because being a social scientist, I always felt that it was very necessary to know everything that was happening in the world. And also knowing whatever everyone is saying about different subjects. And then, like I realized that the world is so divided, left wing, right wing, uh, the ones who are favor to medicine and vaccine and whatever, the ones who are not, the ones who are vegetarians, the ones who are vegan, the ones who eat meat. So, it's so much polarity, so much polarity. The other day, I was talking with one of the BK teachers here, and she was saying to me about these flying saucers that are appearing around the world. And she asked me, have you seen this? I said, I haven't seen you in it. She said, but all the channels are talking about it. I said, I don't know which channels do you see, because in the information that I have, these things don't exist. So there are informations which are very different from one to the other. One say that you have to eat water with your food. Then the next one say you don't need to have water with your food. Some say that you have to eat this. Others say that you don't have to eat this. So you see, you become lost. It's better that you choose one line. And of course, you have to be sensible. You have to use your capacity of discernment. But if you are not clear inside of your mind, how are you going to know if this is right or wrong? You are just going to be jumping according to what people around you are going to say. So I think that these are some ideas. And I just invite you to try this for 3 months. Observe your thoughts, take care of the diet of your thoughts and feelings, do this digital detox, create a routine and a discipline in your life. Give value to your morning hour, your lunch time, your evening time. Don't mix that with conflict, with hot conversations, with world news, with social media, but just prepare yourself for the day, prepare yourself for the night. Be attentive to create this mastery, this power inside of you, and not trying to control reality, not to try to change our other people, not even become disappointed with what other people say or do to you, because that's their responsibility, and your responsibility is to protect yourself. I think that these very useful and practical tips help us to create a strong mind, because a strong mind will not come with, a very complicated course that you are going to do, a very expensive course, or, it's not going to come with a very expensive machine that you buy to put electrodes in your head. A strong mind will come with you understanding who you are, understanding how you have to connect with your real self and with this divine power, and having a life full of sense, full of fragrance. I think that that's all that we need. It's a simple life, but it's a tasty, and it's a life with substance. Nowadays, people are not having a life of substance, doesn't have power. That's why they have to have so many things outside, artificial, to create happiness. Happiness is not something that we go after it. Happiness is something that you are satisfied with yourself, with your decision. So I leave you. Now we are going to have some meditation and then some questions and answers. But I leave you with these questions. Are you satisfied with your life? Are you satisfied with whom you have become? Are you satisfied with your choices? So we can move into this moment of meditation, just being comfortably, allowing your breath to be calm, allowing the air come in and come out gently. And this process helps you to concentrate, just like your mind becomes focused, all your energy going towards this point of energy in the middle of your forehead. And take the chance to do some affirmations, very powerful affirmations. Tell to yourself, I am a being of light. I am originally a pure being. In my essence, I am a peaceful soul. Believe in yourself. Believe in these affirmations. Just allow that they penetrate your mind, your being. I am radiating love. As a result of this, I feel powerful. I feel a lot of spiritual strength. And I allow myself to be recharged. Recharged with a very pure and divine energy. An energy that comes from the purest being in the planet or beyond the planet. I allow myself to be recharged by this pure love, by his benevolence, by the quality of patience, of tolerance, and also by the virtues of courage and leadership. And as I feel that I am completely recharged, I start to vibrate, to share with the world around me about this. I radiate to my body, which is the immediate space around me. I radiate to my friends, to my family, to the people of my work, of my city, and I embrace the whole planet. As I give light, I receive light. As I give power, I become even more powerful. I remain in silence for a moment before coming back and bring with me this refreshment and this clarity. Om Shanti. Yes, Arti, is there any question?
There are a few that have come through. One of the first questions is, if you work in a negative environment daily, how do you not let it bring you down? How can you maintain your resilience? Please advise.
I think that first thing is that you have to protect yourself. So, in the same way that the old um, arms, they used to have an armor around them to be protected to go to war, I think that we have to do the same. So, before coming out from your home or before entering your workspace, just allow some light, powerful light, like an armor of light to protect yourself. And do these affirmations to yourself. I'm not going to allow to be influenced, or even say in a positive way, I'll be the one who is going to influence them. I'll be the one who is going to create the atmosphere. So prepare yourself. If you know that, like for instance, when we have the pandemic, we used to prepare ourselves. I used to take a lots of vitamins to protect me for the immune system, for instance. So in the same, you protect yourself. Protect yourself with these affirmations, with this visualization of light. And if someone comes to say something to you and you feel that you will not be able to control yourself, what I do in these situations, I move away. I ask excuse. I say that I'm going to the bathroom or I'm going to take a tea or a coffee, but I just move away. If I feel that I'm not capable to face the situation, it's better to withdraw from the situation at that moment. Uh, Even like, for instance, if you know that there is one specific person that it's always very critical, very negative, avoid to be in the company or in the presence of that person. Just be there, the minimum necessary. And while doing your work and your meditation, you keep preparing yourself, strengthening yourself.
That's an interesting response, because it really is then making time to believe in yourself, that your capacity can grow,
Mhm.
and trusting yourself, which kind of leads into the next question. The person is asking, how do you stay positive? How do you develop self-trust when someone was able to deceive you and you lost a huge amount of money?
Um, First of all, I think that we have to be smart. Knowing that we live in a world of fraud, we have to protect ourselves. So, one decision that I took to myself is that I'm not going to uh, allow give money, for instance, to other people. I'm not going to borrow or give money to anyone except if it's a very necessary and urgent situation. But put it as a principle, not to do that. Second thing, you are going to be protected from all these phones and banks and other things that try to get your money. Like, for instance, my mother, who I just mentioned before, who is 92, some time ago, someone phoned her pretending that it was my niece, which is her granddaughter, and she oh, I need, can you grandma, can you give me this money? She went and gave in that moment $1,000 on the account. And then, of course, we prohibited her. You are not going to answer any phone, and you are not going to do anything like that. So, knowing that it's a world of deceiving people, so we have to be smart and protect ourselves, not to do it, not to allow it. Even I was in a situation when I got a call saying that I have done some purchase about 6 months ago and I have not paid. I said, I don't remember that I have not paid any purchase. And then the person said, yes, I'm going to give you your bill. He sent me the bill. I said, before I pay this bill, I'm going to send the bill to my accountant. So I sent, and the accountant said, this bill is not real, it's fake. You see, so we have to be smart to protect ourselves. But let us say that we fell in the trap. In that case, we have to consider that life is perfect. The situation is teaching me something, some lesson, maybe to be more humble, maybe to be wiser, maybe to be more careful so that I don't fall again. And the other person is not the problem, because the other person was just the instrument to create this, like a test to you. So in a test, the right answer is how I'm going to respond the test. The problem is not the questions that come into the test. The other person was just a question for you to answer. So what was your answer towards that situation? But of course, if that person cheated you, it's better to keep some distance from that person, because to avoid some similar situations in the future. But don't become disappointed with the person, because in fact, if you would not have created the situation for them to cheat you, maybe that would not have happened. So just move on. It happened. What was the lesson I learned? So I will not repeat that.
Yeah, yeah. I can learn. I can grow and I can learn. And yeah, it wasn't great, but yes. All right, I can go with that. Here's a couple of people asking about strong personalities. One person is saying, how can they prevent themselves from being intimidated from someone's strong personality? Because they take things personally. So how do you stop taking things personally? So, and another person is asking, yeah, you've made a mistake. I've made a mistake. And the person wants to punish me. They want to meet me face to face so that their negative feelings can be expressed. How do I protect myself from that? So both cases.
You know, I have a very strong personality. Some people like, some people don't like. The people who like me and like my strong personality, what they say is that they like because I'm so clear, I'm so transparent, I'm not fake. They feel with me a kind of what they say is that, because of being like strong, they feel protected in my company. They feel that, like they can say anything to me because I'm open, I'm ready to accept how everyone or each one is. The ones who don't like me are the people who are more soft. They say, for instance, that they would like me to be more loving. They would like me not to say things so clearly. You see, so there will always be two sides. Always be two-sided. So if someone has a strong personality and is intimidating you, you have a few choices. One is get your strength, get your courage, and go to this person and say, I really appreciate your strong nature. I really appreciate your strong and clear vision and attitude. But I would just request that maybe you could use uh, like more softer words, or maybe um, more sweet tone of voice to speak to me. Because when you speak to me in this tone of voice, something maybe from my past, maybe something from my traumas, maybe something of my personality just shrinks. So, do you think that you can help me with that? Or you can use some of the nonviolent communication technique, which are very good. If someone comes in a little bit of aggressive way to you, you can respond, I understand what you are saying, that I made a mistake, and I accept I did made a mistake. I really forgot to present those papers at the time that you requested me. But it means that you are calling my attention, showing that it was very important, the work that I haven't done. So you are signaling to me that that the fact that I haven't done that problem, that work, was something that created a big impact in the job. Is it what you mean? Because the only thing that I can do now is to ask your excuse, and I'm really going to take care for this not to repeat. Do you think that in this way, can I satisfy you? Because I cannot go back to the mistake that I have done. But I promise pay attention for next time. So, like when in the communication, nonviolent communication, you always affirm the feelings of the other person. Instead of reacting to the feelings of the other person, you affirm the feelings. You say, you are very angry with me because of this. So I understand that you have a reason to be angry. So when you accept, the other person calms down. What makes someone to react is that you try to prove yourself. You try to, no, I couldn't, I had, da, 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 da. So when you try to prove yourself, you lose the game. You lose the game. If you want to come close to the other person, you have to understand their feelings. And so if you express, I understand that you have a reason to be angry with me, the other person changes. So there are some other ways. Or sometimes you don't have the courage to speak to the person directly. Write them, choose them a nice card and write to them something, explaining yourself or communicating to them. Or you can even ask a third person to be the messenger for you. You see, try to find some way so that, especially if the person is your boss or if the person is someone in your family, there are people that we are not able to cut relationship. So it's always better. Like even I do that because I have a strong personality. When I see some situation that it's not very good, I, depending on the person, if I see that the person has more of a porridge, like soft a kind of personality, I ask someone else to talk to them. Can you please go and tell this person about this that has happened? It's better if you go and tell her because you are sweeter, you are more loving. It's better that you go instead of me going, So there are ways to face these various situations in life. So you have to be prepared.
Thank you, Luciana. It's been an amazing evening. Very practical insights and kindness. Very, very clear, but also a lot of kindness in your response to questions that are coming to you, but the response that you are suggesting that we have, that we can be kind with them and still be clear. It's been an absolute amazing evening. Thank you so much for joining us.